your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
You really want to help? During the pandemic, domestic violence has increased and is a serious concern. Ray of Hope has proven to help victims of domestic violence for 15 years with safe houses, crisis hotlines, and counseling. Real services, real help. Each dollar you give to a Ray of Hope HSV on GoFundMe is worth 10 grant dollars. If you truly want to help your community, this is the way. Go to a Ray of Hope HSV on GoFundMe to help now.
The free career evaluation form. I've personally spoken to them, and apparently employers are lining up to hire their graduates. In as little as 4 months, you could start your career in the growing cybersecurity and networking fields. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. Alabama! Your home of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
We're dealing with some wet streets this morning. That's going to slow you down just a bit. Had one wreck eastbound, mile marker 11. That's near Toyota Field, eastbound side of 565. Not much to it. And we had a stall reported 565 eastbound near Greenbrier. That one could still be causing problems. Is the ocean breeze calling your name? Is your body swimsuit ready? 2030 Fast Track can show you how to lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks, just in time for the beach. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. I do actually think we're going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, which should help temperatures to climb into the mid and upper 80s. A little closer to where we should be this time of year, but still shy of any sort of seasonal norm across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Scattered showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms are going to be possible. Not everybody's going to get wet. We cool off into the upper 60s and lower 70s through the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This Action Update is brought to you by Keeps. Tired of losing your hair? Get 50% off for your first order at Keeps.com/VSiN. Keeps.com/VSiN.
Manny Pacquiao will battle Errol Spence Jr. for the WBC and IBF welterweight titles, as well as the vacant ring welterweight belt. The event will take place in Las Vegas August 21st. Spence the odds-on favorite -240, Pacquiao at +180. Golf, the John Deere Classic underway today. Daniel Berger at +900 odds to win. Brian Harmon and Sungjae Im at +1440. Kevin Streelman at +2,000. Tonight, Game 2 of the NBA Finals. The Suns a 5.5-point favorite at home. The over-under 219.5. Phoenix won Game 1 at home Tuesday night. After tonight, the series will move to Milwaukee. Suns forward Dario Saric suffered a torn ACL in Game 1. He is out for the series.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are off and running with another brand new live edition of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. With Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond, we're going to be with you live until 9 a.m. this morning as we are in studio today. Now, tomorrow morning, make sure you wake up with us as Drew and I are going to be on the road tomorrow. It'll be breakfast with Talking Ball, literally breakfast with Talking Ball, as we will be live tomorrow morning from Metro Diner along Highway 72 in Madison. So if you're out and about, make sure you stop in, have breakfast with us tomorrow morning. Metro Diner along Highway 72 in Madison. And the reason why is because tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., you will be able to get this week's latest zone deal. and that is $50 worth of food for $25 to Metro Diner. So if you want to, you can come and join us for the second hour of the show, because at 8 a.m. you can buy the latest zone deal, $50 worth of food for $25, and just come on in and use the zone deal to have breakfast with us from 8 to 9. Or you can come earlier from 7 to 8 if you have a zone deal from before. But anyway, Drew and I will be live tomorrow morning from Metro Diner from 7 a.m. to 9. Make sure you stop on out and have breakfast with us and talk a little sports from Metro Diner. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We want to hear from you on this Thursday morning, so safe travels wherever you may be headed on this Thursday. But we want to hear from you. Anything that you need to talk about sports-wise, feel free to join the show. We have got some good stuff to get through today. College basketball news last night at midnight, 11:59 was the deadline to withdraw your name from the NBA draft. And one Final Four team got a big boost. They're going to stay intact. Vanderbilt gets some good news. So we will fill you in with all of that. The SEC hands out their male and female athletes of the year awards. Tennessee's Josh Heupel needs a new recruiting coordinator. Mark Sanchez, remember Mark Sanchez, USC quarterback, New York Jets quarterback, butt fumble quarterback, Mark Sanchez. He was with Colin Cowherd, and I don't care anything about the conversation, but Mark Sanchez talks about Ed Orgeron and does perhaps the best Ed Orgeron impression that I have heard. So we will hear from Mark Sanchez doing the Ed Orgeron impression. Where does your favorite college football team rank when it comes to the toughest non-conference football schedules? 24/7 says, hey, these are the top 10 in the country that rank as the hardest non-conference schedules go. But we will run down the 10 and we'll let you know who they're playing and if it really is the toughest non-conference portion of the schedule. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Want to say thanks to Mark McCarter and the Huntsville Chamber and everybody over there that in the tourism board that did a great job yesterday. They welcomed us to the Athletic Club of Alabama. We had a chance to sit down with Eddie Jakes and Elena Boyce. Elena will be competing in the girls 16 and under National Clay Court Championships, which begin on Sunday at the Athletic Club of Alabama. Tomorrow, Eddie Jakes will join the show as we will talk some tennis and get his thoughts on Wimbledon. Boy, he was a little upset yesterday. Roger Federer, a little shocked, I should say. Roger Federer exited from Wimbledon yesterday. So that was the big news while we were out there at the club, was that Roger Federer is not in Wimbledon. But we will hear from Eddie tomorrow. But thanks to the Athletic Club of Alabama yesterday. Fantastic job. Great lunch, great tennis, and just some great conversation. But we start with, let's go Tennessee. Poor Josh Heupel. Just when it seems that he has his staff all together, he needs a new recruiting coordinator, as Dre Brown is off to Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's still not ideal timing for Tennessee, but this whole offseason has not been ideal. We've seen a lot of changes made at difficult times. We saw Alabama go through it. Really, as spring practice had been underway, as Jay Graham left the staff and Drew Swoboda was brought in after only being at Memphis for a short period of time, spending some time at Rice University. So, there's going to be coaching changes, no doubt about it. Notre Dame, had an opening, and they go after someone on Josh Heupel's staff at Tennessee, as you said. So, again, not ideal for Tennessee to be going through this. They've still been one of the most active squads when it comes to being in the portal and trying to add pieces to their team, because they've lost. It's the old saying. Our good friend Jake Wimberly said this week, the transfer portal giveth and it taketh away. So it's not ideal, that it happens to Tennessee at this time, but they've still got plenty of time to fill the slot. Of course, it's going to create an opening elsewhere also. And, it's an opportunity for some young coaches to get a chance to move up. But again, when you're making a change like this, just 2 weeks before SEC Media Days, when you're trying to get all the pieces in place, certainly it can be a little frustrating.
I saw this. We've got to get our good friend Chris Willis from UNA on the show. And I don't know if you saw this or not, but they have accepted the challenge. They are going to be trained. They're bringing the Army Warrior Athlete Challenge program to campus. And the UNA football program is going to be challenged by the Army Warrior Athlete Challenge program. They're going to be trained and gone through some testing, I guess some drills, basically conditioned through this. So Chris Willis and them never backing down from a challenge. They say some run from it, some embrace it, and they've officially locked in the first Division I football team to accept the Army Warrior Athlete Challenge program. So they are going to head to UNA to do that. So we're going to get Chris Willis on there to get his thoughts on being trained by some of the best in the Army, not on the football program, but in the Army, period.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's no they've also added several pieces out of the portal themselves from some Power 5 and some Group of 5 schools. So their roster has been getting updated. We need to check in with Chris Willis and see, get us a UNA football update in the very near future as they get ready to start fall camp. I know he's chomping at the bit, counting down the days, and there's been a lot going on because UNA has their future and their direction has been altered due to the fact that they're not going to the Big South now. That was the plan for a couple years, but now things have changed and probably for the better for them. And I know one of the last things when we talked to him, he was joking about he just wanted a schedule of some kind. Well, that's began to work itself out, and probably for the long-term viability of UNA football to grow and to become what they want it to be, probably a really beneficial thing for all the changes that have gone on.
All right, yesterday the SEC did announce their male and female athletes of the year. And we want to make sure Jeff from the Borough knows this, that Madison Lilly, a Kentucky volleyball player, was named the female athlete of the year, just so he says we don't leave them out as well, because that's all they win national championships in is women's volleyball. But the male athlete of the year, Drew, no surprise, goes to Devontae Smith, your Roy F. Kramer 2020-21 male athlete of the year for the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, he was the standard this year. I mean, he won the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, the Bolitnikoff, you name it. Devontae Smith brought it in. He had a magical season. Had to step up when people went down injury-wise, did it every time. And then the football team picked him up when he missed the last half of his career after shellacking Ohio State and let them avoid giving up 70 points and getting their ass beat by 50, which is probably what would have happened because they couldn't cover him with a 10-foot pole. Certainly the Buckeyes are going to have nightmares about 6 for the rest of their careers, a lot of those guys that had to try to cover him in that game, and anybody that had to. I mean, he rewrote the record books. It's the only thing that really kept him from recording 4,000 receiving yards in his unbelievable career. He's now set the standard in the bar for SEC receivers, even over our good friend Jordan Matthews, who had one hell of a career at Vanderbilt. But Devontae Smith is special. Now gets to try to, prove that in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I still think he went too low in the draft. I think he should have gone sooner. But, I mean, he's been underestimated his whole career. He's been told he was too small, told he wasn't fast enough. it's kind of, I think, what's made him the player that he is. He has a Julio Jones-type work ethic and mindset, which you don't find in players every day. It's why he had the career that he did. In the last 2 years, he was just basically unstoppable. Certainly, Darryl Stingley will he doesn't want to ever see him again because that's basically his daddy, because he owned him for 2 years, even though everybody says he's going to be a top 5 pick and be the best DB in the NFL draft. He's going to be praying that he doesn't go to the NFC East so he doesn't have to see his dad play against him for 2 times a year.
There has been a lot of great athletes that have won this award on the male side since 2010. I was a little shocked that Devontae Smith is the first Alabama player to win the Male Athlete of the Year award since Mark Ingram won it back in 2010.
Yeah, that is surprising. I hadn't really kept up with that, but of course that was after Tim Tebow, but.
Right.
You would have thought maybe when he won the Heisman, Johnny Manziel may have won that award back in 2012. So that is a little bit, head scratching. And
first Alabama athlete since 2010, after all the success that Alabama's had.
Well, I thought you were saying male.
Oh, no. It's the first Alabama athlete since 2010.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. You would have thought Derrick Henry would have had a chance with his Heisman as well when you put a year like that together. Because in all 3 of those years, the amazing part when you have the Alabama Heisman trophies is they've won the national title every year. So it is a little bit surprising that it wouldn't have been a Derrick Henry, but still, certainly a great honor for Devontae Smith and well-deserved.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. If you want to get in on the show this morning, feel free to do so. Because right now it is wide open for you. Coming up here in just a little bit, Travis Reier will join the show as we do talk some Alabama football recruiting news and notes, as well as some softball recruiting news and notes. Because, I know you have been asked a lot on Twitter, and I've seen some of the conversations about especially Alabama softball, because it's as we've been talking about, the transfer portal takes and the transfer portal gives, and that has really been the case, too, for Alabama softball this offseason.
Well, it has. Certainly we've seen Maddie Morgan move on, but we knew that was going to happen, before the season started. She was going to, if she had used her last year of eligibility, it would be elsewhere because she was, in effect, a senior. She went through senior day, ceremonies, but she had another year to use due to COVID. Now, they had several seniors that did graduate, the Bailey Hemphills, the Claire Jenkins, people of that nature, that Alyssa Brown, that came back for another senior season and were, in effect, a graduate student. They were paid for by Bill Battle, which was an unbelievable gesture. They were seniors. They were done. But there was a couple of them. Maddie Morgan, she elected to move on. And then in kind of an unexpected move, we thought Kaylee Tao was coming back, and Kendall Beth Sides, but Kendall Beth Sides decides to move on at the end of the season. She's and it's well documented in the last few days. She committed to Arkansas, and so she's going to be a Razorback her last year and use that last season of eligibility. No question about that. And now Alabama has added 2 pieces of the puzzle out of the transfer portal. And with the rosters in the SEC, you have 12 total scholarships. So everyone is not on a complete scholarship. You can break them up and use them the way you want. But Alabama, they've got 12 scholarships, but they have 21 players now on their roster when you count the 6 signees that they're bringing in this year. In effect, also 2 other young ladies have committed out of the portal. Ashley Pronge, who was a all Big Ten pick at Ohio State for her first 2 years. She is moving on to the University of Alabama. She's an infielder. May very well fill Maddie Morgan's spot at third base. And then a huge piece yesterday. This had been rumored for a couple of days with the way everything was going down. But Allie Shipman, who had started the last almost 3 seasons at Tennessee behind the plate, and because of COVID, she's got 2 years of eligibility left. She had 8 home runs, I believe, for the Lady Vols last year. hit over 300. And now she is going to replace Bailey Hemphill behind the dish. She is transferring from Tennessee to Alabama within the conference because there's no, as everyone knows now, that rule has been adopted just like it has in the entire Power 5 interconference transfers. So Allie Shipman will be coming to Tennessee, or from Tennessee to Alabama, pardon me, and it's a huge get for Alabama because catchers are hard to find, especially quality ones. She has a ton of SEC experience, and with a transcendent player, one of the Mount Rushmore young ladies like Bailey Hemphill moving on to professional softball opportunities, getting an Allie Shipman out of the portal is huge. It weakens Tennessee a little bit, and then it strengthens Alabama. So, this will be the second time we've seen a Vol stalwart, a Henry To'oTo'o, going in football from Tennessee to Alabama to play middle linebacker. Now Allie Shipman, so a huge piece for Patrick Murphy, and this happened, early in the evening yesterday.
All right, just so you know, right before we go to break here, just in case you're wondering, if you want to get a cameo from Montana Fouts, she announced yesterday that she is on Cameo. You can get a shout-out from Montana Fouts for $45. So Montana Fouts announcing yesterday that she now, too, is on Cameo. So if you wanted to get one, you can get one from Montana Fouts. And just for you, Drew, I did find when I clicked on the Montana Fouts Cameo, Avery Johnson is still up there under the Alabama one for $74 for Avery Johnson to give you a cameo from the old basketball coach at Alabama, in case you want one. Let's go to break, because when we come back, Travis Reier will join the show as we talk more Alabama football and softball recruiting.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a couple of accidents reported now. 565 eastbound near Mooresville, no injury. Highway 20 west of Decatur at Kimstrand, that one's also coming in as a no injury. And we had one eastbound about mile marker 11, that's at Toyota Field on 565. Vehicle off the road down an embankment there. It may be a little bit of a problem when they go to get it out. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device. No mask, no hose. Insurance accepted for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville, call 256-713-0575.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
The average shift is 52 seconds. If you get into a minute 10, minute 12, your legs are burning because they get out there and they go like hell. You're talking about skating and doing the other, the stick handling and everything else, but your legs just are on fire because you go so hard.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey. I miss the Knicks.
Listen to the Big Dog weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's grilling season, and you got the best beef brisket money can buy. Dry rub to perfection slow smoked for 8 hours, and you dared to face that perfect smoky hickory wood flavor with subpar wood cooking pellets? Introducing Kingsford 100% hardwood pellets. No fillers or binders, just 100% hardwood for 100% flavor. Learn more at kingsford.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. I do actually think we're going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, which should help temperatures to climb into the mid and upper 80s. A little closer to where we should be this time of year, but still shy of any sort of seasonal norm across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Scattered showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms are going to be possible. Not everybody's going to get wet. We cool off into the upper 60s and lower 70s through the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's 7:25 on this Thursday morning. Welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And once again, don't forget, tomorrow morning you will have a chance to join Talking Ball for breakfast. Metro Diner will be out at Metro Diner along Highway 72 in Madison, as we will have a Friday edition of Talking Ball on the road. Drew and I will be enjoying Metro Diner. Come on out. Don't forget, at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, you can get $50 worth of food for $25 to Metro Diner. You can use it for both the Madison and Huntsville locations. So you can come on out. Why not? Come on out, get the deal at 8 a.m., and then join us for the second hour of Talking Ball out there at the Metro Diner along Highway 72. We'll be out there for breakfast. Before the break, we were talking about Alabama softball, Alabama baseball. Well, not baseball, Alabama football recruiting. We were talking about Devontae Smith getting the SEC Male Athlete of the Year award. Got to kind of culminate that all into one big conversation.
Yes, we were, no doubt about it. And our next guest has been since 2003, part of BamaOnline.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network as their senior analyst covering Alabama athletics. We've featured him. He's also on their daily BOL podcast, and they've already been busy this week talking recruiting, talking about an addition for Alabama, and now there could be another one later today. Football-wise, and he does a great job covering that with Charlie Potter and Hank South, and of course just finished a 5-year run at Tide 109 as host of Southern Fried Sports. Did a great job for them as well, and he always does an awesome job for us, and he's been good enough to join us. Wanted to bring him in just because there's no one that knows Alabama softball better than this guy, and that's Travis Reier, who's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Travis, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good, and interesting off season softball wise. Now, baseball and softball don't get as much publicity as, of course, the high profile men's basketball and, of course, football. We've already seen Alabama with Jamison Williams and Henry To'oTo'o add a couple of big pieces in football. Nate Oates has been active. Noah Gurley in basketball. We've seen them add pieces from the transfer portal. Now we're seeing it in the other two, but especially softball. There's been some additions to the roster, some subtraction since Alabama finished in the Final Four in the country in the women's CWS. But Travis, your thoughts on these two big additions first for Patrick Murphy and the young ladies in the softball program?
Yeah, it was very interesting to see KB Sides move on to Arkansas, but we've seen it the last couple of years. Alabama hasn't been immune from departures of their own. Skylar Wallace certainly qualified as such the previous year, and it's kind of the lay of the land these days, I guess. It's certainly a program under Patrick Murphy known for great culture and family-like environment, and I think with the addition of Allie Shipman, it's big because Bailey Hemphill obviously done with her time, a historic career at the University of Alabama, and you wondered exactly which direction Murph might turn to sort of address that immediate and major need, and looks like Shipman can do that coming in from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about how how transfer portal affects football and basketball. Sometimes we forget that softball and baseball can use it as well, and I think Alabama is doing that. Sometimes I think we just forget how these other sports can take advantage of the transfer portal.
Absolutely, and with the one-time rule going into effect now, and even at the interconference level, this is one of those instances. It's not just a transfer. I guess it would qualify as a grad transfer at this point in her career, perhaps, but movement just within the conference going to be a bigger thing in the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's what's interesting so far. You mentioned KB Sides to Arkansas. Skylar Wallace to Florida. There's a lot of interconference transfer. I saw another young lady from Tennessee going to Arkansas. It seems as though, and sometimes we've heard in other sports they kind of frowned upon interconference transferring, but with this new rule being passed and with the Power 5 leagues all approving intra-conference transfers, Travis, it looks like there's going to be a lot of that, and especially in softball.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to make for some interesting changes throughout the league, and we're seeing it here in the here and now. So as early as the upcoming season, it's going to be a big part of the conference.
It is, Travis, no doubt, but now talk about it because Alabama had a great year last year. They do lose Maddie Morgan; she's not returning, but then. Not just the addition of Valley Shipment, but Ashley Pronge from Ohio State. In the last several days, she has announced via her Twitter account she was going to be transferring to the University of Alabama from the Big Ten. She's someone that was honored twice as an All-Big Ten player. So another quality hitter, it looks like, an infielder. So Coach Patrick Murphy, I guess, all these coaching staffs are kind of assessing their teams at the end, deciding, who's departing and where they need to have additions. But looking like with the loss of Morgan, this young lady has played a lot of third base at Ohio State, so looks like another quality addition as well, along with Shipman.
Yeah, and you're talking about defensively a team that needed to upgrade as well, and you hope with the injury issues from the most recent season being rectified here moving forward. Bailey Dowling specifically, it was tough to overcome, but it's a team that's got a lot to replace, no doubt.
Travis, we were talking before we talked football recruiting. We were talking before the break. Devontae Smith wins the Male Athlete of the Year award for the SEC. I was kind of surprised that he's the first Alabama player to do so since 2010, since Mark Ingram accomplished the feat.
Yeah, it's been a little while, but as decorated as Devontae was following the 2020 season, what's one more, right? Just an incredible run, an incredible stretch for Devontae, and you think about his career in general, just from start to finish, just an amazing stretch, catching the winning touchdown pass against Georgia in the national championship game in overtime, and then all the way out the door. He's already left UA and still receiving awards, but very deserving, no doubt about that, and just happy for him because he was a guy there after a couple of years, was not an also-ran, but he wasn't being talked about in terms of, say, Jerry Jeudy or even maybe Henry Ruggs III, and Waddle comes in, makes a big impression, but at the end of the day, it's Devontae that's receiving the accolades he so richly deserves.
Yeah, he really is, and he's basically rewritten the entire record books. The only way he didn't, the injury to knock him out of the second half of the national championship games, the only thing that kept him from 4,000 receiving yards in his storied career. Now moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles, no question about that, Travis. Wanted to get your thoughts, on recruiting, though. Alabama adding a big piece on the 4th of July. There's a lot of fireworks, no pun intended, on that 4th. Antonio Kite joining the fold to be commitment number 9 for Alabama.
Yeah, that's a nice pickup. You talk to people like Hank South, Tim Watts of our company, and They tell you that he's one of those guys that's a little bit under the radar. Was certainly a take evaluation from Alabama, which there's some guys with higher star rankings right now that don't have that ability or that sort of path that they can go ahead and commit. So you like him in the secondary, probably more as a safety, but very athletic and offers you some schematic versatility between the different positions in the base and also what he could do in the sub packages.
Mm-hmm. He does, and then could be some more good news coming down the pipe about 4:30 today. I know BamaOnline.com will be all over that. But Jeremiah Alexander, someone from Thompson High School in Alabaster, a couple hours down the road, he committed to Alabama early in his career, opened it back up. Now it seems as though he's down to Alabama and Clemson and going to commit once again via social media late this afternoon, early in the evening.
That seems to be the plan, best we can tell. I know in talking with Tim yesterday, there's a lot of anticipation in terms of what he's going to do. He's been a little bit, all over the place throughout the process, but it's understandable. And you're talking about a guy who's highly considered as he is, and a really, again, another outstanding potential addition at the edge position. Alabama, the last 2+ classes, has been pretty lights out at that spot, and you've seen it in the form of attrition. You've seen 4 outside linebackers move on from the program during the recent offseason. So if it, in fact, plays out that way, a very nice in-state pickup for Alabama, too. It'll be a little bit of a run in-state with, what they've been able to do here recently with Kite, and then perhaps if they add Alexander and then maybe a guy like Kobe Prentice from Calera in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, no question about that. And then, as we've said, no one covers Alabama athletics better than you. We've also seen Brad Bohannon be busy in the transfer portal as well already. He's already added a piece from Harvard, an outfielder that I'll tell you what, Travis, time has passed so quickly. I had to go back and double check because I went to pre-conference baseball games at Alabama quite a bit. For the last 2 years, it had blurred so much. I knew Alabama played Harvard. I was thinking it was at one time that it was 2021. It was actually 2020 because the Ivy League did not play at all last year. They pick up that young man from Harvard. They've picked up a lefty, it looks like, in the Cape from Wake Forest. So Brad Bohannon kind of, retooling a little bit in baseball as well, even with the 11.7 scholarships.
Yeah, and he had some holes you wanted to address there, certainly with the Connor Pritchett situation. That was so unfortunate with the Tommy Johns. Maybe you're able to do that via the transfer portal with a weekend rotational candidate that you bring in. And sounds like Golan Diodati's had a really good start to his stretch up at the Cape, so you keep an eye on him and guys like William Hameter and others that are in the summer leagues around the country. And it's ever-changing in terms of roster building and roster maintenance in general. So you used to think about this time of year in connection with the Major League Baseball draft, but now with the portal and the mobility that players have throughout the sport, every sport, I guess you could say, it literally is 365 days out of the year that you're having to consider the status of your roster on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, you really are.
Basketball news, though, Jaden Shackelford, his name's in the transfer portal, but you look at Nate Oates, and I know he's a talented player, but Travis, do you get a feeling that what Nate Oates has assembled, even with the loss of Jaden Shackelford, is still really good?
I think they're still in a pretty good spot. Obviously, Jaden, when you talk about production the last 2 seasons and the returning players that you bring back, he's right there at the top of that list, especially when you see John Petty and Herb Jones and even Alex Reese to an extent move on from the program. So, it's a bit of a concern in that when Jaden gets it going offensively, it's really tough to sort of match with what you have on your current roster. I worry as much for Alabama about three-point efficiency. Not that Jaden was, always exceptionally consistent, even in his scoring or with his three-point shot. But we know the identity of this team, how they like to play. That entails a lot of three-point shooting. So, Javon Quinterly shot at a very nice percentage last season, but he's going to become more of not a bulk shooter, I wouldn't say, a volume shooter, but he's going to shoot more threes, you would think, with his role increasing for the upcoming season. And then, guys like Keon Ellis back, I thought he was as dependable, as trusted as just about any backcourt player they had by the end of last season. J.D. Davison, certainly with his credentials and the expectations for him to perhaps be a one-and-done coming into the program. But again, when I think about these primary options in the backcourt, Amari Burnett coming in as a transfer from Texas Tech, it's going to be interesting to see how they shoot the basketball from beyond the three-point arc. And Noah Gurley will be a part of that, probably more as a stretch 4 or even a 5, I would think, and Jawan Gary back. So there are certainly plenty of pieces for this team to do some good things, and they're going to need to be good pretty early because, as we saw yesterday, that anticipated 2-year series with Gonzaga was confirmed. So it's not like Nate is backing down where the scheduling is concerned either.
Yeah, and then there's still pieces out there, Travis. I know Nate Oates has always been aggressive. We saw them, get in the transfer portal last year and add big pieces, no doubt about it. And then you've already mentioned this year's big one, Noah Gurley from Furman, who they competed against for 2 years and that really played well in Coleman Coliseum last year. In your mind, I mean, we've seen certain guys go into the portal, including Kevin, and I want to say it's O'Banner, but if I did mispronounce that, I apologize, from Oral Roberts University. I've heard that Alabama's been in contact with him with an open scholarship, and of course with this reclassifying, because they did it with Alex Chiku and Josh Primo last year. In your mind, do you see Alabama potentially still adding another piece?
They could, and you also have to consider just James Rojas' situation. So
maybe not being back until January.
Numbers,
Yeah.
It's availability of just your roster in general. So, I don't have any doubt that that Nate and Brian Hodgson, Pet, the rest of that staff they got their minor caps on, with the little light on the front in that portal.
Right.
Just all in that thing right now, digging around and seeing what they can uncover. And I would not be surprised at all if, some of the names you just mentioned as more of the prominent possibilities in the portal, are those that Alabama's looking heavily into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to be looking into some of those guys, no question about it. And then Travis, of course, SEC Media Days just a couple weeks away. It's hard to believe that it's already on top of us. We've seen the NIL start going into effect. What has been your thoughts on the early NIL moves? We just talked about Montana Fouts. She's made herself available via Cameo, $45 per appearance. We've seen Malachi Moore with Milo's Tea and Lemonade. What's been your thoughts on the early days of NIL?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think the hyperbole that was out there had a lot of folks thinking that it was going to be Chevrolet and Coca-Cola and Regions and the different companies out there, major brands that were going to jump right into this, and it hadn't really happened to this point. Bryce Young with Cash App, that's a pretty good hit. Signing with CAA, one of the major marketing brands out there and representation firms out there, was pretty significant, but it hasn't really been to the extent that maybe it was thought it would be, at least to this point. I still think on both sides of this thing, people are trying to fill it out and see exactly how this is all going to work, and what's the value from the sponsors side of this thing. How much how do you put a dollar figure on things? I've always said follow the followers, and I think that's still going to be the case. It's not so much going to be the folks that resonate as far as star players, but what's their followership like on social media? And you got a gymnast like Olivia Dunn down at LSU. She's got over 1 million followers on Instagram. I didn't know who Olivia Dunn was until I heard that.
Amen.
The twins at Fresno State, and their presence. These are the folks that right now I think resonate as much as anything with sponsors, because you've got that built-in distributorship to your potential customers. So not that Bryce Young is hurting for followers or anything like that. It's just that I think going into this, a lot of people would have thought, oh, well, Bryce Young's going to have far more opportunities than, say, Olivia Dunn. Well, that may not be the case, and so it's still largely an unknown, even though we've stuck our toe, I guess you could say, into this. But it's a to-be-determined situation, I think.
No doubt. Well, Travis, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of your summer, brother. We definitely hope to have you back. It's a big part of the show when college football gets cranked up. Wanted to bring you back in because there's no one that's more familiar with the landscape of Alabama athletics than yourself. And, of course, these additions in softball of Allie Shipman, Ashley Pronge, Hunter Furtado, certainly the lefty from Wake Forest. We're talking about that as well, and football recruiting. Let everybody know how to follow you guys over at BamaOnline.com. We know you're going to have full coverage of the potential announcement of Jeremiah Alexander, and, of course, you guys do a great job podcasting as well.
Thanks, guys. Just go to BamaOnline.com or Alabama.247sports.com. Either way, it'll get you to BOL.
Thank you, Travis. Really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, let's get a break in when we come back. Speaking of name, image, and likeness, there's a Tennessee Volunteer that is the only player in the country that's paying his teammates to endorse a product. We'll explain when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck in Decatur at Gordon, Terry, and Woodall. That one's being reported with an injury. Got one in Madison, Slaughter Road, and Roy Drive's got an injury involved. And we got an overturned vehicle, 231 in Mountain View Road. That's near the Morgan-Marshall County line. Got a lot of responders headed for that one. And they have Barber Drive closed near Stanley because of a tree down across the road. Popeye's 3-piece snack is $4.99. You get 3 pieces of that crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit at Popeye's University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Our zone deal this week is truly an award winner. Metro Diner, serving up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest priced mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. This Friday, you can get $50 worth of great Metro Diner food for half price, just $25 with our zone deal. Just log on 977ESPN.com Friday morning at 8 to get yours.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Nothing beats a great burger to help celebrate the 4th of July, and at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we couldn't agree more. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then head on down and try one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers now. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer. Celebrate your 4th of July and enjoy a little freedom from the grill with a trip to Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway between Bob Wallace and Governors.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Ann Adams. Ann, I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th Annual Harris Poll Equitrin as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. You know, great companies in Huntsville, Alabama, winning awards is what we want. Is it a great time to list your home?
Yes, it is. The inventory is low and the market is heating up.
And I understand you're also looking for agents.
I am. We are so busy, Wes. We need agents to keep up with the demand.
Ann Adams and Rise Real Estate has been doing business in North Alabama for the last 35 years. If you want to do business with someone you can trust, she has been writing contracts since she was 9 years old. Call Ann today at 256-337-2625.
Guys, when we were 20, we never had to worry about spontaneity. And now that we've gotten older, spontaneity has been replaced with pills and injections. We're just trying to keep that intimacy, but it's taken away from spontaneity. At Advanced Life Clinic, we now offer GainsWave, which uses sound waves to non-invasively treat this issue with no need for pills or injections. Just give us a call, 256-888-9367, or check us out online, advancedlifeclinic.com.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's 7:50 on this Thursday morning. And as I mentioned before the break, Grant Freckering, F-R-E-R-K-I-N-G, Freckering, I guess that's how you would say it. I don't know. He is a Tennessee Volunteer, but he also owns Metro Straw, a $1 million business. It's a landscaping business. And he has decided to pay his Tennessee teammates to endorse his business. So he becomes the first player to pay his teammates to endorse his business.
Capitalism.
So just, I don't know. I just think some of these are pretty funny. That's all. And I don't.
I mean, that's amazing. He's already got $1 million business landscaping. I mean, a lot of guys do landscaping, especially younger folks.
Right.
They get that hustle on. But that he's making that kind of money doing it is pretty astounding. And I was just looking, speaking of Tennessee, we let off the show with it, but when you kind of delve into that Dre Brown situation, it's just really in the last 12 hours, John Bice of Football Scoop's done a great job getting on top of that. He's going to be in an off-field role for Notre Dame, but he's going to try to enhance their recruiting efforts. And Dre has really had only been with Heupel since earlier this spring, so he'd only been in Knoxville for basically a cup of coffee. Hadn't been there long, so it just really interesting that. It looks like Brian Kelly definitely understands that they've got to get better with their analytics and their off-the-field personnel. Of course, they got Marcus Freeman from Cincinnati, who was thought to be the top defensive coordinator, free agent out there. LSU wanted him certainly badly, but they got him. And then you look at, they also Freeman was able to attract another one of his colleagues from Cincinnati to come with him. In Chad Bowden as well to kind of enhance their recruiting efforts because the Bearcats were doing great things and still are under Luke Fickell. But a couple of really quality additions in analyst and defensive and offensive type roles off the field for Notre Dame as they try to, enhance their recruiting efforts. They've certainly recruited well. And the astounding thing is we really haven't paid attention to it, and I don't like them anyway, so I rip them all the time. But Brian Kelly is closing in on the great Newt Rockne to be the all-time winningest coach at Notre Dame because he's really been there over a decade. Because when you look at Notre Dame's history, the coaches don't stay for 10 years plus. And Brian Kelly's done that even though he's flirted with the NFL a little.
That's because a lot of the expectations around these Notre Dame coaches are
stupid and unrealistic.
You have to win a national championship in 2
which you
years
hadn't done in nearly 40 years. But anyway, I mean, who's counting though? But I'm just saying he has got him to the playoff a couple times. He has gotten destroyed by Alabama twice. And Clemson, because they've been to the college football playoff twice. He got them to the national championship game. But let's be honest with you. Even though they've got to that point, they were still a million miles away from winning it, okay? That was proven when they got blasted like it was a scrimmage. So, I mean, but at least Brian Kelly keeps punching, though. I'll give him that. And getting Marcus Freeman, getting Chad Bowden, getting Dre Brown, getting these guys in there to Notre Dame it definitely helps. And it hurts Tennessee because, as we said, we understand what Josh Heupel's trying to do. It's been a really difficult transition in a way because of the way that it ended with Jeremy Pruitt. And people forget it's not even been a year, but they were coming in with so much momentum and confidence going into last season. Then COVID hits. Then they still get off to a 2-0 start, and they're ranked in the top 15 in the country. And now they've had as much attrition as anybody in the transfer portal.
All right, let's go to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Shane Sean with us on this Thursday. Good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good, Shane Sean. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, did y'all happen to catch that interview with Feinbaum and that Tennessee player?
I did not.
Did not.
Dude, it was actually really, really good.
Yeah.
The kid was 15 years old and just happened to fall in. He said he mulched.
Oh, we were just bringing up this guy,
Grant Freaking or something like that. Yeah,
Scott was talking about him because he's sponsoring his own teammates because he has $1 million business already.
Yeah, do you know how I listened to Feinbaum that day, and he had him on, and he was telling how he got his business started. He was 15 years old.
Right.
And he would wake up before football practice, the early football practice. He had to be there at like 6 o'clock. And he would go out and mulch these yards before practice.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
And then he started. Somebody seen it and they asked him where he got it. They come to him, and they own this big $1 million house over. Did he live in Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
So he went and mulched that guy's yard, and then his neighbor wanted it, and it just started like that. That's how
like
he started
dominoes.
his business. Yeah, it was actually pretty neat. But they didn't say nothing about him paying the players at that point. That was the first day of NIL. It was just him talking about owning a business and how he would, take care of his money. How he'd handle stuff.
Yeah, all he does is
him paying the players. That come out afterwards.
Yeah, they install premium pine straw and mulch products, and it's Metro Straw, and he has signed up a few of his buddies there on the Tennessee football program because of name, image, and likeness. He can do that now, and you have a teammate paying other teammates.
It's Grant Furking we've been talking about, and he's a walk-on wide receiver. He's not even on scholarship. Hell, why does he need to be? He makes $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's the most Tennessee thing I ever heard. Play the player.
There's no McDonald's bags needed now.
Metro Straw ground cover, everybody.
Well, all right, guys. Y'all have a good one. I just thought it was pretty neat the way he got started.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
He went to a private school in Northwest Atlanta, so his family already wasn't hurting. But, I mean, he
started his own business.
Though he went to the Wesleyan School in northwest of Atlanta. Wow.
I mean, I just saw that. I thought it was pretty cool, though, that he started his own business, grew it up. Now it's a $1 million business, and he is the one paying his teammates to tweet out and talk about his business for him because of name, image, and likeness. I just, I thought it was pretty cool. That's one of the rare ones I think we're going to find. I don't know too many players themselves that are going to.
Good grief. This dude, this is pretty amazing. I'm reading the story.
It was an article in The Athletic.
Yeah, he's like, I'm up at 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. Most guys are sleeping in, ready to go hit workouts or breakfast at 7 a.m. I've already had a staff meeting and put out 3 fires by the time I get to my hydration test and morning breakfast before I go to workout. Yeah, I mean, he's got crews all over the Southeast doing this, and that's why as he said, there wasn't a for what they do, it wasn't structured,
right?
And they didn't have great customer service in this deal. And he just he found a niche, and he's been able to really do an unbelievable job. Wow.
256-576-4977 as the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on hour number 2 of Talking Ball. Hour 1 is in the books, but plenty to talk about when we come back for hour 2. We'll talk about non-conference football schedules. We're going to hear from Mark Sanchez as he does an Ed Orgeron impression that is just classic, and some college basketball news as well. All that and more to get to in hour number 2 of Talking Ball.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
It's grilling season. And you got the best beef brisket money can buy. Dry rubbed to perfection, slow smoked for 8 hours. And you dared to face that perfect smoky hickory wood flavor with subpar wood cooking pellets? Introducing Kingsford 100% hardwood pellets. No fillers or binders, just 100% hardwood for 100% flavor. Learn more at kingsford.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Our newest wreck is in Decatur. Gordon, Terry, and Woodall. That one had injury. Slaughter Road and Roy Drive had injury in Madison. And 231 in Mountain View on Brindley. That one had injury and entrapment. Overturned vehicle there. Got a downed tree causing problems on Barber near Stanley. HPD's blocking the road while Utilities clears that one. Do your methods to lose weight no longer work for you? Odds are your hormones are the problem. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. I do actually think we're going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, which should help temperatures to climb into the mid and upper 80s. A little closer to where we should be this time of year, but still shy of any sort of seasonal norm across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Scattered showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms are going to be possible. Not everybody's going to get wet. We cool off into the upper 60s and lower 70s through the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This Action Update is brought to you by Keeps. Tired of losing your hair? Get 50% off for your first order at Keeps.com/VSiN. Keeps.com/VSiN.
Tonight, Game 2 of the NBA Finals. The Suns a 5.5-point favorite at home. The over-under 219.5. Phoenix won Game 1 at home Tuesday night. After tonight, the series will move to Milwaukee. Suns forward Dario Saric suffered a torn ACL in Game 1. He is out for the series. Manny Pacquiao will battle Errol Spence Jr. for the WBC and IBF welterweight titles, as well as the vacant ring welterweight belt. The event will take place in Las Vegas August 21st. Spence the odds-on favorite -240. Pacquiao at +180. Golf, the John Deere Classic underway today. Daniel Berger at +900 odds to win. Brian Harmon and Sungjae Im at +1440. Kevin Streelman at +2,000. I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour number 2 of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning if you so choose. We wrapped up hour 1 talking about Tennessee and the non-scholarship player, Grant Freckering, who has his own business.
$1 million, man.
Paying
he's making big bucks.
His teammates to endorse his business.
He's on buses worrying about $1 million contracts. I mean, crazy.
It is impressive to say the least.
You can totally tip your hat to him. He's already got his degree from the Tennessee Business School, and he's getting his master's. So he's already setting himself up for success. And shocker, the business school is named the Haslam College of Business.
Are you surprised by that?
Half the stuff's named after him by now.
Anyway, that's how we start hour number one, or hour number two. Hour number two as well, college basketball news. The deadline to withdraw from the NBA draft has come and gone. 11:59 last night was the deadline for players to exit the NBA draft. We saw a lot of names decide to pull out of the NBA draft. And one of those happens to be from UCLA.
Oh, yeah. This was a little bit of a surprise for me. I thought he was going to stay in and maybe get a first-round guarantee. But this is huge for Mick Cronin.
Johnny Juzang, the transfer from Kentucky. Sorry, Jeff. But he transferred from Kentucky and became a big-time player and was on fire last year in that run where they nearly make the finals before Jalen Suggs said go home with that huge, banked-in shot from near midcourt. But wow, Juzang was a huge part of UCLA, huge part of why they put out Alabama in the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, the Tide missed some free throws late too. But Juzang fouled out in that game, but still was a really good player, and he'll be maybe the centerpiece of this UCLA team. But that's a huge addition. Him deciding to come back at the last minute. They returned all 5 starters from that team now. That was in the Final Four, and they added a couple transfers as well.
I would think Jaden Shackelford might not be going to UCLA now because I know they want shots. I know they want points. With Juzang coming back, I don't know if it'll be the USC Trojans. I don't know if it'll be the Cal, Irvine Anteaters. I don't know who it'll be. But, maybe he goes to Oregon State. Oregon State lost some big-time players. They go to the
so you have a feeling he's headed out west.
Yeah, I mean
Jaden Shackelford.
Yeah, I mean I would be. There's anything can happen. It can change. It can pivot quickly. But I was told he was headed back out to the West Coast, and he's a West Coast kid from Hesperia, California. Had 2 really good years at Alabama, but I think that he and his father were worried about his role going forward at Alabama. With all the talent coming in. And you heard Travis Reier, who does it so eloquently on our show, as he said, Nado's probably got that mining helmet on with the little, and right now it's kind of foggy outside here in Huntsville, but, got their eyes on the portal, trying to add another piece. Or you got to always be aware of these guys like a Shaden Sharp, who's a 5-star guard from the same school as Alex Chiku out in Arizona, Scott. Mm-hmm. He's a 5-star that you've heard rumblings about potentially reclassifying. You see a lot of this stuff. So they reclassify and they come in early. Josh Primo and Chiku for Alabama certainly did that last year.
All right. And then Jerry Stackhouse gets a little bit of good news as well. Scottie Pippen Jr.
And I'm really happy to see that. I mean, Vandy needed that shot in the arm. Scottie Pippen Jr. is one of the best players in the SEC. Probably needs to get away from his dad, too. Considering,
it's kind of gone off the reservation a little bit.
Scottie's been going off the rails and saying ridiculous things. And so, and again, we want to say thoughts and prayers are with Scottie, though. He did lose a son to a death, which is just horrific. And he's going through a very difficult divorce. So a lot of things, probably weighing down on Scottie Pippen Sr. But Scottie Pippen Jr. really became a great player last year. I got the chance to see him live. That guy can play. Now Dylan Dessou, I think he went into the transfer portal too. Unfortunately, I don't know that he's coming back to Vandy. That would have been huge to get both of those studs back. But to get Scottie Pippen Jr. back at Vandy, that's just big for the SEC and big for Vanderbilt basketball and Jerry Stackhouse.
All right, so that is the college basketball news. The college basketball deadline to declare whether you want to come back or not was last night, 11:59. So that was the deadline.
And then we got to watch Kofi Cockburn too, right here from
that is
Illinois.
Huge.
I mean, he hasn't decided fully if he's leaving. And to be honest, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Even though what you'll see, the reason Kentucky's being mentioned so much is because Orlando Antigua and another assistant coach that were, of course, close to him have gone from Illinois to Kentucky. And so many people think he could matriculate to there. But, wow, you would think with all the success, I know Illinois has suffered some losses personnel-wise. They had, of course, one of their guards go to LSU as well, and they had guys turn pro. But they've recruited well, and he would still be a huge part of Illini basketball. You would think Brad Underwood and those guys would do everything in their power to ensure that he stayed. But if he did matriculate to Kentucky, that's just another piece of the puzzle. And certainly John Calipari, if you can recruit, you can recruit. It doesn't matter if it's in the transfer portal or if it's in the high school ranks. He's always been one of the great recruiters in college basketball, and certainly that would be another big piece, literally and figuratively, for Kentucky.
Yeah, Kofi Cockburn from Illinois. He's probably
7 feet. Yep.
the biggest name in that transfer portal right now. If you were talking college basketball transfer portal numbers, if you were ranking them and everything, that's probably like a Henry To'oTo'o equivalent on the football side.
Kind of flirted with the NBA last year before coming back.
Yeah.
And then Illinois had a really good year. Now, they had a disappointing ending because they played Loyola Chicago, who was criminally overseeded and shouldn't have even been playing Illinois at that point in time, but they blew Illinois out. But still, he had, a monster of a year, and Illinois was a number 1 seed and certainly had a great year in the Big Ten.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning if you have anything you want to talk about. Going on, well, we are 2 weeks away from SEC Media Days. This will be the final day. 2 weeks from today is the final day of SEC Media Days, as everything will wrap up on that Thursday. We will hopefully have everything. We will have everything covered for you for the 4 days at SEC Media Days 2 weeks from now. But the college football season is quickly approaching, and we're going to get some of these non-conference games. A lot of them you're going to be able to sleep through, especially probably the ones that start at 11 a.m. and involve the Pac-12, because apparently those games are not very entertaining according to the Fox broadcast schedule.
Don't tell David Shaw that, because he's going to have an aneurysm.
So does your team have one of the top 10 toughest non-conference schedules according to 24/7 Sports? Well, Miami, Alabama's opening day opponent, according to 24/7 Sports, has the toughest non-conference schedule in all of college football, as they will tangle with Alabama, Appalachian State, Michigan State, and CCSU, which they say that one is the winnable game. But that's Miami's non-conference schedule this year: Alabama, App State, and Michigan State. That's pretty 3 vaunted games right there if you're the Miami Hurricanes and Manny Diaz.
Well, and they need it, because somebody asked me about what did I think about the $540,000 that the booster was going to, fork over for the football team. And I said,
Right.
well, I mean, it's $6,000 a piece for everybody. They need something. I said, because they have facility disadvantages. We already talked about that. They are a private school. They don't have a fan base that's interested half the time, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Miami, so you have to win. And their tradition is kind of compacted. It started in the late 70s, early 80s, and then it ran through the early 2000s, and then basically hit a brick wall. And so since 2002, it's really been toilet, to be honest with you, because there hasn't been a whole lot of success. Just a blurb here or there. There's been no consistency. They haven't been able to find a head coach to stay there. They've had instability. They've had a crazy booster before NIL that was out there paying everybody, and so Miami's had a lot of issues, and they still don't have their own. I still find it astounding that a private school with that many NFL guys and that many great players cannot get their own stadium, and they have to use the Dolphins facility
On campus and have to drive
a
good distance. Yeah,
are you kidding? I mean, how they've won national championships in baseball. They got big leaguers all over the place. I mean, you would think they'd be able to pool their money and get enough private money together to build a freaking stadium and get somebody, or then get somebody to sponsor it or something. Maybe they got some player that's got some mulch business. Who knows? But I'm just saying. I mean, you would think they could get a stadium. I know they had to tear the Orange Bowl down. They all hated that because they loved it. But see, the Dolphins played there as well.
That was closer to their campus than
I just
Hard
can't
Rock
believe
Stadium
that they
is
haven't
now.
got an on-campus facility, man. That to me, that's what the Canes would need.
Georgia Tech has the second non-conference toughest schedule in America. They're going to face NIU, Kennesaw State, but then they get Notre Dame and Georgia as part of their non-conference game. Remember, Notre Dame now not part of the ACC this year. Florida State, who is trying to reboot everything under Mike Norvell, will face Notre Dame, Jacksonville State, UMass, and they travel to Florida this year, does Florida State. So that'll be the Seminoles' non-conference schedule. Georgia and Kirby Smart, they put them at number 4 as far as the non-conference schedule strength goes. Clemson, UAB, Charleston Southern, and Georgia Tech are the non-conference games for the Georgia Bulldogs. Clemson they put in there simply because they are facing Georgia, and that's about it. South Carolina, UConn, and South Carolina State. Stanford and David Shaw, Kansas State, Vanderbilt, and Notre Dame. They put Stanford at number 6. Brian Harsin and the Auburn Tigers, they list them as the 8th toughest non-conference schedule in America. Akron, Alabama State, Penn State, and Georgia State. And it has to be because of that trip to Happy Valley.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, now Penn State was a disaster in the COVID season. We understand that. It really all started coming apart when they blew that game against Indiana, in the improbable way. But James Franklin's still done a nice job at Penn State. It's a place you don't go to often. I don't know. I haven't even looked in the history. I'm not sure that Auburn's ever been to Penn State before. I mean, in as many years as I've been watching Auburn football, going all the way back to Coach Pat Dye, in the 80s, in the early to mid 80s, I don't remember in a regular season type game,
right?
The Auburn Tigers taking on Penn State, certainly not traveling there. So what a unique experience to be able to go through the whiteout and things of that nature.
Well, the first matchup was in 1996.
But that was a bowl game,
That was a
right?
neutral game. And then in 2003 was a neutral game. And it looks like they both were bowl games.
Yeah, I was
because the
gonna
first
say,
one in 96 was in Tampa, and then the next one was the Capital One Bowl.
Yeah, I remember bowl games, but I'm just talking about regular season.
No, that's it.
type
They've only
stuff.
met twice.
Yeah, so this will be the first time in the regular season and the first time Auburn has ever gone to Penn State, because I just don't ever remember that happening.
And then Auburn won. Penn State won the first one in 95, 43-14, and then Auburn won the second one 13-9.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Bama Bino with us on a Thursday morning. Good morning.
Hey there. How are you and Scott doing there, Drew?
We're doing well, Bama Bino. How are you?
Doing well. Usually I don't get to listen to it in the morning as much, so I don't call. I call West and Steve a good bit, but I just was wanting to tell you that even when I don't get to call, I really enjoy y'all's show, and it's just a unique situation with all 4 of you guys being such knowledgeable and friendly, and even the people that answer the phone, they're very personable, and y'all just have a great setup.
Well, thank you. Bama. We appreciate you listening and, of course, being a part of the station.
I want to update you on a couple things. I didn't know if you heard, my cousin's son, Caden Milligan, he's got another year, but he was offered by UAH and Montevallo on a full ride.
Yes, he was. We heard about that earlier this summer. Cole's had a heck of a career like Caden has. They've been huge parts of Robbie Coker's program, and got a chance to see Plainview this summer. Man, they're going to be on that short list. They're going to be contending for another state championship in 3A basketball. They're very, very good, very well coached. You don't run up on another program, especially in the 3A level, and really throughout Alabama. Though I still think if you stacked it up, they'd probably be one of the top 10 to 15 in the state overall. But Robbie Coker does an amazing job.
Yeah, he's also playing. I don't know who got this up, but it's probably one of the shoe companies or something. Atlanta has, I guess it's like an all-star thing in Dallas. So he's playing in Atlanta either this weekend or next in Dallas, vice versa. I guess you know more about that than I do, Rick. So,
it's AAU. It's AAU stuff now this month, Bama Bino. You could play with your team throughout June, but now it's going to be more. And there's an AAU event. Matter of fact, an Adidas event in Hoover this weekend.
Yeah, I just know his mom and dad told me he was going to play in Atlanta one weekend and Dallas the other. So, I figured he'll get other looks, but I was texting his mom that, and she said, well, don't push it. I want him to stay close to home. Watch after him and go watch the games. And so I didn't want to get in hot water, so I said, it'd be good for him to play in Huntsville. So.
Oh, John Shulman would be ecstatic with that right now.
He would love that.
So, he's, his brother, I'm sure, could have went several places, but he's concentrating on his
in Auburn, yeah, that's right.
Engineering degree, and but I think he still plays a little. Probably, I used to call it intramural ball with pickup guys. And I don't know that this for a fact, but I didn't hear from them. But I heard from somebody else that they scrimmaged some of the Auburn guys, maybe just unofficially one day, and that he was pretty hard to guard.
Well, I'm not surprised. He definitely could have played, at least smaller college basketball. I know but he had an amazing academic career at Plainview and is on scholarship at Auburn right now. We had him on the show when he won the second state title after he made the shot yet again to bring a ring back to Rainsville, and he was a tremendously classy young man. And certainly we would look forward to hopefully talking to his younger brother when he makes his decision what university he's going to continue his hopeful college basketball career at. But certainly, selfishly, we hope it's here at UAH. We know John Shulman would very much like to add him to the roster.
Well, I'm going to edge him that way, but that's up to his parents and him. But I'm going to put a good word in on that, and I'll try to see if we can't. When he does decide, I'll just have him call in.
Well, yeah, we'd love to have him on the show. Absolutely, Bama Bino.
Because me and his dad talk. Sometimes his dad's a pharmacist, and when he gets a chance to work, around the home, and he'll listen to 97.7. But we've talked about y'all several times, and I agree that it's a very personable program and great people. And his dad, Chris, listens to it. Matter of fact, in the last football game I played, he played for Pisgah. I played for Sylvania, and I played my last game against him in 87. Yeah. And it was in the playoffs. Pisgah and Sylvania was in the same area then. And but also is the Expo is going to be there this weekend. When does Don Trump Jr. speak?
That's a great question. We needed. I know the Expo, the Fishing and Hunting Expo comes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yes, we were. We brought that up yesterday at the tennis thing, and everybody was more concerned about when the water skiing squirrel is going to take on, when the water skiing squirrel. So we didn't get to that portion, but we'll have to look and we'll find out.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine. He's a younger guy. Andrew, he's a deputy with Madison County, and I'm going to see if maybe he's going to work the event and maybe go with him and kind of get backstage and get a picture.
Yeah, no doubt.
With Donald Trump. But anyway, guys, I know I've said it to Wes and Steve a lot, but just know that when I don't call, I listen. Y'all just have a great setup, and I come up with a phrase I want to coin. Y'all all four act like you've been doing it since you were 9 years old.
Well, thank you, Bama Bino. We appreciate that.
Going back to the one of those real estate commercials, I said, Darren Adams, she's been doing it since she's 9. Y'all act like y'all been doing it since she's 9.
Well, appreciate it, Bama Bino. Thank you, man.
Love you guys.
Yep. That's Bama Bino joining us. I know we need to go on a break here. When we come back, though, we're going to shift to Auburn because we got Jason Caldwell joining us from inside the Auburn Tigers. They've had some additions via the transfer portal in baseball, and it's been a really busy last about 10 hours because they've added 2 more football commitments on top of Alex McPherson, the top kicker in America from Fort Payne, committed to Auburn. And we're going to talk some Tigers with Jason Caldwell next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck in the Lacey area. 231 your Husky Mountain Private Drive. Sounds like they're going to update that one to a no injury. Gordon, Terry, and Woodall had injuries. In Madison, Slaughter and Roy Drive had injuries. 231 in Mountain View on Brindley had an overturned vehicle there. They paged that one out with injury and possible entrapment. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's, an easy-to-use oral device. Insurance accepted for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandland.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Get more out of summer with savings on appliances to simplify and streamline during the Home Depot's 4th of July savings in-store and online. Right now, you'll save a bundle on top appliances like this Samsung laundry pair. Celebrate summer with a laundry upgrade during 4th of July savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only, while supplies last. Free delivery on purchases of $396 or more. Valid through July 14th.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. I do actually think we're going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, which should help temperatures to climb into the mid and upper 80s. A little closer to where we should be this time of year, but still shy of any sort of seasonal norm across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Scattered showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms are going to be possible. Not everybody's going to get wet. We cool off into the upper 60s and lower 70s through the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When we say local, we mean local, not Birmingham.
Loser.
We are the only sports talk station in Huntsville. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, 8:27 on a Thursday morning. And we were talking yesterday about Auburn picking up a kicker. Well, in the last 24 hours, they've also picked up a tight end as well.
And a defensive back. And they may not be done today. As if you follow Keith Niebuhr on Twitter, who's a colleague of our next guest, Keith, this time of year, may never sleep. I mean, he's always chasing storylines, and our next guest helps him out in recruiting, but he also covers the Auburn athletic department in its entirety. Much like Travis Reier, he is an encyclopedia when it comes to the Auburn Tigers. in the orange and blue. And I'm talking about every sport on campus. If you read his Monday morning quarterback column, he will keep you up to date on what's going on in Auburn athletics. And we wanted to catch up with him this summer on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. He has been covering the Tigers now. I believe this is his 21st year. Jason Caldwell. He is with Mark Murphy. It was great to see him in Auburn as I got a chance to get my first up-close and personal look at Auburn Arena and their unbelievable practice facility. They run as good a summer camp under Bruce Pearl and Chad Pruitt and those guys as anyone. Got a chance to be a part of that this year. Really enjoyed myself for a couple of days. But Jason Caldwell has been good enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jason, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How about y'all?
We're doing well,
Jason.
man. And it's been a busy last, 10-plus hours in football recruiting. For Auburn, it had been a little slow. I know the fans were a little antsy because they didn't have many commitments. But now, in the last couple of days and really the last 10 hours, it's grown. We've got 3 additions. Alex McPherson, we kind of knew this one was coming. With Anders Carlson going to wrap up his career following in his brother's footsteps. Two more great kickers for Auburn, but Alex McPherson following in his brother's footsteps, except for a different SEC program. He will about likely be the future for Auburn kicking. A big addition first for him for Brian Harsin.
Yeah, it's one of the things that if you start talking about rundowns of maybe the positions that Auburn has recruited the best in the last dozen years or so, you probably have to start a kicker. They've done a great job of identifying those guys, and going back to Wes Byram, Cody Parkey, obviously, the Carlson brothers for 8 years, and covering those guys. So it's been a really good run for more than a dozen years for Auburn. But Alex McPherson, the guy you think has every opportunity to be the next guy for Auburn. Extremely strong leg for a kid that is probably 155 pounds right now. He's going to get bigger and stronger as he gets on the college weight room, and I think he's a guy that has a chance to be another fixture for Auburn as a kicker for several years to come.
Yeah, he certainly does.
Well, it's funny, too, and we're not used to seeing this, but Auburn really getting themselves also a tight end. When you see Auburn recruiting tight ends, we've seen them pick up some tight ends in the past, but not ones that are going to be really factored into the offense.
Yeah, it's going to be much bigger role
Yes.
offensively under Brian Harsin, and they got a big addition in Micah Riley Ducker yesterday from the state of Nebraska. Jason, I know you're really high on this kid.
I think when you look at him, he's the kind of guy that you're looking at to be a difference maker at tight end. When you're talking about, not only just Brian Harsin, but Mike Bobo has a history of using tight ends, and we come in and we saw the difference even in the spring, how much more they were factored in to this offense. And so you start talking about a guy that's 6'6", 235, physical. He understands how to run routes. He understands how to influence the defense, and he can go up and get the ball. He's a guy that looks like he has everything that you're looking for. I think you see the direction they're recruiting, that it makes you believe even more that this offense is going to feature the tight end and maybe use multiple tight ends a lot of the time. I think we're going to see more than one tight end on the field a good bit for Auburn. And that's kind of what these NFL teams have been doing. You start talking about pro style now. You can do some tempo too, but man, it's creating matchups. Finding that guy that's 6'6", 230 that can run like a wide receiver makes it very difficult for a defense. And so I think Riley Ducker's a guy that gives you those kind of options for Auburn. Yeah, I do. I think it's a really good pickup.
Well, I know this. He was offered by Iowa, and they're kind of tight end university, so they evaluate the position really well. So certainly a good get for Coach Harsin and their staff. And then just a little while, not even an hour ago before you came on with us, it was broken by you guys over at 24/7 and Auburn Undercover and Keith Niebuhr, and that is Caleb Wooden. If we've been following it, his name has been prominent with Auburn, but Caleb Wooden decides to go public, and Auburn's got a little bit of a pipeline both in football and basketball from Archer in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and that Atlanta area.
Yeah, obviously the younger brother of Colby Wooden. Colby's the guy that he was a talented player coming out of high school, but he wasn't a five-star guy, but he's turned into a really good football player. I think Caleb Wooden is a similar kind of player. He's gotten bigger and stronger as he's matured, and who knows how much bigger he's going to get. He's 6'2", 185 right now. He's got a frame. He may wind up being 215, and I mean, he could potentially follow in the path of a guy like Owen Popo and wind up playing linebacker before it's over with. But he's a safety. Ran really well at camp. Ran really well at the deep camp, West Virginia. Really, the only places he camped this summer, he got offers, and I think he was like, okay, I'm good. I've got some choices there. But I think once Auburn offered, that was pretty much it for him. So I think you look at him, and I think it's upside. It's quality young man. I mean, know his mom and dad really well, obviously from going through Colby's recruitment, all those things. This is a kid that you bring in knowing what you're going to get from him on and off the field. I think that's a big deal, especially for a first-year staff. You got to bring some of those kind of kids in that you know are going to be foundation pieces. I think a guy like Caleb Wooden can be a foundation piece for you. Play special teams early, and then see how much bigger and stronger he gets and develops into strong safety, potentially maybe a linebacker. Who knows? But he's a guy that's going to play.
So in the last 24 hours, Auburn really has doubled their commitments. They went from 3 to 6 in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, 3 to 6. And as Drew said, probably not done. There's still some guys out there that are hanging around the board that could potentially be added, in the coming days. I think we expected it to be a little different this year. I don't think anybody expected it to be quite the June that it was. So we knew it was going to be busy, but kids really sat back and kind of took their time with it, and I'm glad they did. They needed to visit, and now they've had a chance to visit, see places. Now you're starting to see more and more decisions come. I thought July and August was going to be much more busy months in terms of commitments. I think that'll be the case. And for Auburn, you could go from 3 to, who knows, 8, 9, 10 by the time, these guys start to get on the practice field in August. I mean, it could be that many. Who knows?
Yeah, it really could. And then they received more good news from the Elite 11 because their quarterback commit who really jumped on board on February the 1st and really has been thought to be a guy that was flying under the radar but would end up exploding with his recruitment. And now with his profile going up with the performance he had at the Elite 11 out in California, but Holden Gariner, I know Coach Harsin and those guys are really excited about him.
Yeah, I got to see Holden in February, Under Armour, and even then you can see this is a kid that, he's as he continues to move up in competition. He plays at Benedictine Military over on the coast near Savannah. As he moves up in competition, he's just going to increase. He's got the physical tools, and you watch him throw the football. He's got all the things you're looking for. But another one of those guys that you're talking about building around, you get a quarterback in that is kind of one of those guys that everybody gravitates to. That's his personality, and I think he's going to be a leader. And that's the first thing you got to have when you start talking about, quarterback is the guy that can lead the team. And I think Holden Gariner is one of those guys, and he definitely has the physical tools to do it as well.
Yeah, he certainly does. And then, Jason, you don't want to give away give it away here too much, but who are a couple of guys we might watch for later today that may jump on board with Auburn?
Yeah, I don't know about today itself.
Or in the very near future, I guess.
Yeah, I think you look at, a guy that, a couple of guys you want to pay it to. Micah Pollard's a guy to pay attention to. Linebacker kid from Florida. His family's from the Valley, Lynette area. His dad, played in the NFL for a long time. Obviously, Caden Story, local here from Christian's younger brother. Big defensive lineman, talented kid. Those are a couple of guys I think you look out for, and then can Auburn make a run at one of the huge needs for them. That you're talking about a need area coming out of spring practice is to go find not necessarily in the recruiting class, but the transfer market. A veteran wide receiver. They're just not a whole lot of experience in this wide receiver core. A couple of guys out there that kind of waiting to see, and a guy like Demetrius Robertson was 5-star.
Yeah,
one of the top players in the country coming out. He's a guy that Auburn is making a push for him. See if they can grab him. If they do, I think they got a good shot. If they do that, then you're talking about shoring up from an experience standpoint. Maybe one of the bigger needs heading into this season that could help out immediately.
They really
because we are. We are about 4 weeks away from Auburn getting to camp. Is that where we're about at?
Yeah, somewhere around in there. Yeah, so not too much longer. You start talking about getting in and rolling ahead for these guys and trying to, it's crazy. Every sport is still figuring out rosters because of the transfer portal. I dropped by and talked to Butch Thompson for a few minutes, and he's like, the transfer portal, the draft, everything for these baseball coaches, they have no idea still what's going on with their rosters until they get to the Major League draft here in a couple of weeks. And football, with the transfer portal still out there, even though kids can't go in it anymore, there's still kids in the transfer portal that can make a decision. So still lots up in the air.
What do we anticipate with Butch Thompson and his roster baseball-wise?
Yeah, they've been busy. I mean, they've had some quality additions for Auburn baseball. I mean, this is interesting. I've been fascinated by it because Alabama and Auburn, as we know, have some disadvantages with only 11.7, and you got the draft coming up, so there is some uncertainty about who you may lose or not. But certainly Auburn has been retooling this lineup because they lost some key bats. And we know that pitching-wise, they had some injuries, and they've had some guys. They had some seniors that have moved on, but it's been an aggressive time for Butch Thompson.
It has, and I think that's what you have to do right now if you're Auburn, Alabama. Try to do as much of that as possible. Because heck, you look, and even schools that don't have those situations, LSU. I mean, look at LSU, and they're bringing in several transfers. Mississippi State brought in a couple last year, a couple this year. But I think for Auburn, you're looking at like they needed, mature, experienced hitters. Brooks Carlson, Sonny DeShera from Stanford gives you two of those guys, and then pitching. They can never have enough pitching, and so you go out and add a closer from Stanford, Chase Isbell. He may not be able to help as much right now, but it's a guy that definitely looks to the future. But you look at those pieces. You bring in a reliever from Lipscomb who's a really good reliever, junior college pitcher. Tommy Sheehan, a left-handed pitcher from Notre Dame. I think if they could find another legitimate starting option as a guy that has experience and has done it, I wouldn't be surprised to see him, go to that guy as well.
And I know you said you had a chance to speak to Butch. We love Coach Thompson, such a class act. What are they anticipating in the draft right now? I know it's a little bit of an unknown, but it'll be. We're gonna find out in the next few days. But what's kind of the outlook?
Yeah, I think you're going to lose Ryan Bliss, so that's a given. I think you feel fairly certain too that you're Richard Fitz, the guy that's going to get picked at some point. Will he get enough money to make the jump? I think that's the question mark you have there. To me, that's one of the things you look at and going, what's the potential there? But I think you look at him, and then Tyler Miller had a huge jump playing first base last year. I think the power potential there, he'll probably get enough of a draft stock to go ahead and make a run because he was a guy that came out of junior college. So he was, he's had a few years and probably wants to start that pro career too. So I think you look at those guys, and then maybe Carson Skipper because lefty throwing 93, 94. Somebody might make a run at him. I think that's it. And then obviously from the high school ranks, a guy like Calvin Ziegler, the signee from Canada. It's 95 now, 94, 95, a guy that probably will be picked. Will it be picked high enough? That'll be the question mark. So there'll be a few signees, a few kids on the team. Then you have to figure out that 11.7 and how to make it work. That's kind of the goal right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, certainly we know you're going to be on top of it with Inside the Auburn Tigers and Auburn Undercover, part of 24/7 Sports, Jason. And now let me correct myself. I got to give you credit. 22 years covering the Auburn Tigers with Mark Murphy. You guys do an amazing job. Let everybody know how to connect with you. And, of course, as you know, as you said, the recruiting information is going to start rolling in and to follow your coverage. And, of course, coming up the Major League Draft for the Auburn Tigers and Auburn Athletics.
Yeah, like I said, you can check us out at autigers.com. The 247 network there, Auburn 247. You can also follow me on Twitter at ITAT Jason.
Jason, we always appreciate the time. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, Jason Caldwell with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good stuff there. Let's get a break in because we have got plenty of tomorrow's headlines today to get to after the break.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They're looking for an accident around 231 and Becky Drive. That's in Meridianville. That one reported with injury and possible entrapment. Got a wreck southbound on the Parkway near Holmes. That one may have an injury involved. 231 near Husky Mountain Private Drive in Lacey's working. It's a no injury. Gordon, Terry, and Woodall and Slaughter and Roy in Madison both were injury type. They should be clearing. Snelling needs an experienced safety manager for a South Huntsville facility. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Our zone deal this week is truly an award winner. Metro Diner, serving up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest priced mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. This Friday, you can get $50 worth of great Metro Diner food for half price, just $25 with our zone deal. Just log on 977ESPN.com Friday morning at 8 to get yours.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121. McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Sitting here with Ann Adams of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Rise Real Estate. Is it a good time to sell your home, Ann?
Yes, it is. We have people relocating from all over the country.
Why should we choose Rise Real Estate?
Well, we've been selling real estate in North Alabama for 36 years and have sold more real estate than any other real estate company, period.
Do you help your customers through the entire process?
Yes, our agents are with you during the whole process from start to finish, from beginning to end.
In your relocation services, you have a whole team.
Yes, we have a dedicated relocation department helping customers move seamlessly into the area.
Ann Adams has been writing contracts for the last 36 years. She has the experience to help you list and sell your home, downsize your home, or help pick the perfect spot north of Alabama for you to build a future.
Call Ann Adams at 256-337-2625 or on the web at www.bhhsriserealestate.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We've got a lot of headlines to get to today. The big one just coming out a short time ago, less than an hour ago, the organizers of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics have made it official this morning that the games will go on, but they will go on with no spectators this year. There were going to be limited spectators.
I'm glad they told everybody this before they made all their travel plans, and I'm sure there's been going to be refunding a lot of hotels in Japan.
They were going to make them wear masks. Remember we went over this before? They were going to have to wear masks. Yep. They could not yell. They could not scream. It was going to be basically
can't yell, can't scream. Joe told us not to. Blah blah blah. A bunch of dummies.
Well, and so today they made it official. They say that it's regrettable that the games were going to be held in a limited format. That they apologize to those that have bought tickets. Yeah,
they need to refund a lot of people's money. They didn't even want to do this. I mean, but the problem is
they're saying that the new highly infectious Delta COVID variant was spreading. and from becoming
I'm
the
sure.
source of another wave of infections.
Yeah, okay.
So they're saying no fans
Yeah.
at the Olympics this year. That coming out about an hour ago, less than an hour ago.
I'm sure. Go ahead, whatever.
And then we've got some other
It's
stuff.
always something.
The Tampa Bay Lightning win the Stanley Cup last night. Back-to-back titles for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Well, no, it's the Lightning and then the Bucks. You know, you got back-to-back there. You know, they've got two titles now.
Right. And so, in case you are in Tampa Bay, now I don't believe, if you like Coors Light, I don't think you're going to be able to get this here. But just so you know, Coors Light is making the first beer made from the actual ice that the Stanley Cup was played on. Coors Light has scraped ice from the rink, and they are going to brew beer in Colorado. It's going to be called Champions Ice, and it's going to be available in Tampa bars and 32-ounce growlers starting on the 12th of July. So they've scraped the ice, and they're going to make beer from the rink.
Yeah, now I think this is the back-to-back Stanley Cup championships for the Lightning, and I think this is their third overall.
It is.
And they've now got 2 championships from the Bucks, with Tom Brady delivering the second Super Bowl championship. So certainly Tampa Bay and the Rays went on a great run in baseball last year too. So there's been a lot of winning going on in Tampa right now, but certainly a great run for them. Congratulations to the Lightning, and Vince Ferrara, being from that area, he's on cloud 9, so great friend of the show. But the Lightning now kind of got a little mini dynasty going.
And then 11 years ago today, we're going to go back in the time machine for this one, because I know you were excited about this. I know you were glued to the TV when this happened 11 years ago today, July 8th, 2010.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, it's very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Because I can't elevate an organization to win without them surrounding me with players, because I'm not Michael Jordan and I never will be, and I shouldn't even be in the all-time starting 5 in the NBA, and anybody that thinks so needs a lobotomy. He's a top 15, 20 player overall, but I ain't taking him over Michael Jordan. I ain't taking him over Larry Bird. I ain't taking him over Magic Johnson. First of all, he's about as soft as butter. And, he had to win the titles with Miami to establish himself. He did go back to Cleveland and come prancing back and deliver a championship. I think that's actually, to me, his best accomplishment as a player, because Cleveland had never won a championship, and he delivered one. Now he's, of course, won one in Los Angeles when they went and got him another great player to play alongside him. Now this year they were terrible. And he went down in flames in the playoffs, and he complained and bitched and all this other stuff about how everybody should be fired because of the way they set all this stuff up. Now that, we suck all of a sudden. But anyway, whatever. I actually thought it was a ridiculous special. I didn't watch it. I mean, I thought it was one of the dumbest things ever created. But when LeBron James is involved with it, it's going to be stupid. So how you not surprised?
Oh, and then we move on. Mark Sanchez was on Colin Cowherd's podcast. And this is not about Colin. This is about Mark Sanchez, because Ed Orgeron is probably one of the most impersonated coaches, you would say, because everybody tries to do the Ed Orgeron. You had Jeremy. I mean, gosh darn. We're going to be a football season without Jeremy Pruitt impersonations. But
he's with the Giants now in the NFL.
Mark Sanchez did a fantastic Ed Orgeron impression. Here's Mark Sanchez with his meeting with Ed Orgeron.
Recruited the heck out of me from USC or to USC, and then he ended up leaving right when I was getting there. But we remained close. We remained cool. He let me walk in. The first thing he did was put his arm around me, and he walked me in his office at LSU, and he handed me some 30-pound dumbbells. And he's got this rack of weights in his office, and he said, "Hey, let's get a little arm work in. Come on now. Hey, don't forget the shoulders now. Don't forget those shoulders." And I'm like, oh my God. He said, "Hey, how your daddy doing? Is he still fighting them fires out there? Man, you're a tough son of a bitch now." He was just wearing me out. It's like we literally hung up the recruiting phone call, and then I showed up in his office, 15 years later, and nothing changed, and it was awesome. Well, he lets me go down, and now I'm blanking on where I was going with the damn story.
Who cares?
Sorry, we go. No.
The impression was so damn good, it doesn't matter.
We were. Hey, thank you, Colin. Big fan. Go Tigers.
I told you, Mark Sanchez was spot on with the Ed Orgeron impression.
I mean, he was. I got to give him credit. He knocked that one out of the park. That's for sure. I mean, I get. I mean that but I think that. And I've heard those stories. I think he does that with a lot of people. He keeps the weights in his office, and he lifts all the time. And I have no doubt that's what he did with Sanchez, because that's right. I mean, Coach O was, if you remember, he had 2 separate stints at USC and did a great job recruiting. And and they brought in a bunch of great players for Pete Carroll. Then he came back under Lane Kiffin and brought in some great players, and then was interim coach when Lane was let go, and was very bitter that he didn't get a chance to be the head coach, because a lot of people thought he might. But then it opened the door for LSU, because he ended up joining the staff at LSU under, as you know, Les Miles, and then Les got dismissed, and they ended up giving Ed the job. And then 2019's bought him some equity. Even I think it's kind of been undervalued what they did to end at 5-5 last year and get that win in the Swamp. I think that certainly took some heat off Coach O. But certainly going in, they need to right the ship a little bit and get back in that top 2 to 3 in the SEC West, and they have the talent to do so. Really going to be interesting to see who I think the second best team behind Alabama is. Is it A&M? Is it LSU? How much better is LSU? But Owen Buchanan, who does such a great job, is a great friend of our show. We were talking the other day, and he said, certainly I think Texas A&M is more talented, and I think that they're getting to the point where they can compete with Alabama. But the first they've got to beat LSU consistently to be that number 2 team, and then to try to focus on Alabama and winning the West. But certainly Coach O and LSU still going to be talented.
All right, the other headline that we've got, it's called the basketball tournament. It's the TBT. Mm-hmm. Auburn does have a team in it, and I was hoping maybe we could get up with Frankie Sullivan, the James Clemens basketball coach. He is actually the head coach of War Eagle, or my bad, called War Ready. It is the Auburn basketball team. He's the head coach of the tournament this summer. They will be the 5 seed. You can see them July 18th now at 11 a.m. on ESPN. It's going to be Bryce Brown, Deshaun Murray, D'Angelo Purefoy, Malik Dunbar, and LaRon Smith. But Frankie Sullivan is the head coach of the TBT team called War Ready. They are going to be a 5 seed. So a little bit of there. So James Clemens is going to be represented in the TBT. And the last one that I have, and it's not a sports one, but it caught me by surprise because I'm from the Midwest. Wisconsin produces 3.4 billion pounds of cheese each year.
They do.
They are the best. They are by far
Squeaky
the most state.
curds.
Yep, by far the most producing cheese state in the country. But did you know that Wisconsin did not have an official cheese until now? A lawmaker has proposed Colby as the official cheese of the state of Wisconsin.
Okay.
Just
I guess they're just considered the kings of cheese. They didn't pick one out. I thought they may have already had an official cheese. I didn't know that.
I just had to throw that one in there.
Yeah, I know.
256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Got about 30 seconds or so if you want to get in on the show this morning. Don't forget, you and I will be tomorrow at Metro Diner. We're going to have breakfast at Metro Diner tomorrow. We'll be there from 7 to 9. Come dine with us at Metro Diner tomorrow in Madison if you want to.
We got a zone deal coming up, $25 for $50 worth of food at the great Metro Diner. Sold out last time, so be ready for that to go live tomorrow. But I can tell you one thing. Jeremy Pruitt, he wouldn't be having any asparagus at the Metro Diner tomorrow morning. I can assure you of that. He doesn't have to worry about being Tennessee's football coach either.
Your Ed Orgeron one was getting pretty good last year, too.
But Joe Judge is giving him an opportunity with the New York Giants, and hopefully they can get their program turned around in that NFC East, and Jeremy Pruitt can begin to work his way back up the ladder in the coaching profession.
But, Jeremy, Tennessee, you left him in a disaster. You left him with recruiting violations.
I'm not going to comment on that. You can contact my lawyer.
That's going to do it for the 2 hours of Talkin' Ball. ESPN now breaking it as well. We told you just a few minutes ago, remember, Olympics are going to be held without spectators this year. Nobody watching the Olympics in Japan. That is a bummer. So Zach Harding, Javon Harrison won't have family watching them in the stands for the Olympics.
I hate it for all those folks, but I mean, still good luck to all those people, to Zach Harding, to Javon Harrison, all those they're from our community that are competing for gold medals in the Olympics and the highest level of sport outside of the Big Three. We want to thank Jason Caldwell and Travis Reier as well. Everyone stay safe, and we'll be coming to you tomorrow from the Metro Diner on Highway 72.
See you guys.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
The average shift is 52 seconds. If you get into a minute 10, minute 12, your legs are burning because they get out there and they go like hell. You're talking about skating and doing the other, the stick handling and everything else. But your legs just are on fire because you go so hard.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey. I miss the Knicks.
Listen to the Big Dog. Weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. As expected, spectators have been banned from the Tokyo Olympics after Japan declared a coronavirus state of emergency for the capital that will run through the Summer Games. Japan's prime minister said the state of emergency was essential to prevent Tokyo, where the highly infectious Delta COVID-19 variant was spreading, from becoming the source of another wave of infections. Wimbledon women's semifinals live on ESPN TV. Top seed Ash Barty leads Angelique Kerber 1-0. NBA Finals resume for the Suns and Bucks. Game 2 tonight, 8 Eastern, ABC and ESPN Radio. Phoenix has a 1-0 lead.
Whether you need to hire a civil engineer in New York or a mascot